So this video is going to be all about a powerful strategy of working with niche Facebook groups and really harnessing those communities for launches to build your brand and to keep a pulse on your customer archetypes, needs, and desires. So the purpose of this video is really just to discuss the strategy of cultivating and leveraging these niche Facebook groups for launches, brand growth, and success on Amazon. So, niche groups. Some of the key benefits, and there's really two fundamental key benefits, are number one, there's a congregation of your customer archetypes in these Facebook groups. And then there's also embedded trust and social proof in these communities. So let's use the golfer example, right? You've got golf Facebook groups where clearly it's customer archetypes that are in those groups. Why would you join a private golf-oriented Facebook group if you're not interested in golf? So it's fish in a barrel in terms of trying to find out where your customer archetypes are, number one. Number two, those are private communities that cultivate over time, and there's an embedded layer of trust that comes through the content that's produced, shared, and discussed within those groups. So if you can kind of tap into both of those, number one, get embedded with the customer archetype group, and then you can start to build on the trust of that community, it's a pretty amazing kind of set of variables that come together and kind of cultivate value over time for your brand. So basically how we target these, and we're going to go into a real life over the shoulder example. We'll try to find some golf Facebook groups so you can kind of understand how this works. But we basically want to build a Facebook groups funnel. Keep in mind that this is not a short term, I'm going to do this for a day and get payback tomorrow kind of a thing. This is a longer term effort that will plant seeds and continue to plant seeds over time. And then slowly those seeds will take root. They'll kind of bear fruit for us. But you got to look at this in terms of many months, not days or weeks. But the general strategy, and this is something that we want to do on an ongoing basis, typically on a monthly basis, we'll kind of want to revisit this and keep this pipeline of Facebook groups alive and well, is number one, we want to compile a list of Facebook groups. So that is basically just doing some searches within Facebook search bar, and we'll again do this for the golf example so you can see how it works. Most of them are going to be private. You can also apply to the public ones, but there tends to be a little bit more benefit in the private ones, especially for kind of doing launch giveaways and things like that. But basically, we want to compile a list of these groups, put them into a tracker, which I'll share with you guys, and have a template that you guys can use. We're going to apply to those groups, which typically will require that you give an email and you maybe answer a couple questions, and then a moderator will typically accept you, although sometimes they'll accept you on an automated basis. And we do this with a personal Facebook account. So usually we'll use my Facebook account. If it's a VA, I'll typically give them access to a Facebook account. You can have the VAs use their accounts. You can use a brand Facebook group to apply as well. But I feel like it humanizes it when the founder, so to speak, is the one that kind of gets involved in the group. And then you ideally want to be doing this months in advance of a campaign. So if we're thinking about this in terms of a launch, this is rarely something that you necessarily want to go in, get accepted in the group, know nothing about it, and literally just, try to go for the promotional jugular vein right off the bat. This is a dating approach where we want to kind of do this longer term. So this is something that you want to kind of do well in advance of when you may want to actually leverage it as a promotional asset. And then basically what we want to do is I typically like to just kind of listen for a while, right? See what the content posts are, see how they talk to each other. Is it irreverent? Is it serious? Is there other promotions that take place? But just be a participant in the group and ideally create some value. So if you've got some thoughts on the actual space, feel free to share content, share videos, share approaches that create value for the community so you can build up, number one, a history for the moderators that show that you post, comment, like, but also that you're leading with value first. I think that's super important. So in the golf analogy, let's say you found a really good video on a new golf swing strategy or a new putting routine that you could test. Post that stuff and talk about it. Also, if you see valuable posts in the group, this is where you want to comment, like, really engage with the community. So you want to participate and lead with value first before kind of going for promotional stuff. At least that's my approach. And then the last approach is after you've kind of participated in the community, you've listened, you see how they kind of operate, you've started to actually add value to the community, then I'll typically approach the admins of a group. And every Facebook group that's created has an admin. And usually there's multiple admins or moderators. So the goal here is that you personally reach out to these admins. Again, this is why I think it's really important to use a personal Facebook account, and you personally address them. Again, after you've participated, ideally for a month plus in the community, and just say, hey, I'm Adam. I'm the founder of Birdie, a startup golf company. We've got some products that I think really align well with the group. First of all, I want to give you, the moderators, some free product, just because this group has been really valuable for me to help build my brand and to better understand our customers. So I want to give that, but I also want to discuss some potential options for us to work together. Maybe we can do, some specials for your community on when we launch products. Maybe we'll do monthly giveaways. Maybe we'll do a channel sponsorship. We'll kind of see what makes the most sense, but I want to at least lead with saying thank you and seeing if you, the moderators, want to test some product. And then you'll kind of go from there, right? I think if you approach it authentically as a human being and you've got a cool brand, most folks are more than happy to help you out, especially because they're going to be the customer archetype as well, right? Because they're running a golf Facebook group. They're not doing that, for any other reason other than they likely enjoy golf and they enjoy the community. So let's kind of go to my computer and you can see how this works. I'm just going to go to my Heist Facebook account here, and then basically you just go to this top masthead here and just go to the group section. And then you can see all the groups that I'm part of here. But then you basically would just search golf, just kind of start really generic and see what comes up. You can see it'll typically bring a lot of local stuff, and I actually do like that strategy to actually type in local, state, and or cities that you think are big for golf. That's a good way to kind of look at it. But there's this new and used golf equipment for sale. That might be something that, despite the fact that it's not necessarily a community, but you might be able to get in there with some stuff. So that's a public group. We would just go ahead and join that. And then they're going to either accept it or reject it. Then basically what I like to do is have a tracker. And so again, we'll give you guys access to this, but we'll just put in this here. We'll adjust all these fonts later on. And go back. And then I just copy the group. And then I see it's got 24,000 members. So I'll put the URL in there, and then I'll just put 24K. Then I'll put the date that we applied. So in this case, it's 10/9/2021, and then we'll just wait to see if we get accepted. If we get accepted, we'll just put yes. If we actually join, we'll put the join date. So we at least know kind of the time frame, right? I typically don't like to join and then 2 hours later reach out to the mods. I like to kind of let it germinate a little bit, participate in the community. So let's say that they do accept us today. I'd put it in the join date there, and then I would wait a couple months, and then we'd have some triggers to go through this as we build this list out over time. And be like, hey, we joined this one a month ago. Let's go ahead and reach out to the mods. So we would put that out there if we reach out to the mods, and then we just kind of keep going, right? You could spend 30 to 60 minutes, maybe a month, kind of digging through this. But you can see all the other recommended groups that come up as a result of that are related to this. So you could obviously join those pretty quickly. Let's go back and find some that aren't just selling equipment. In Golf We Trust, this is cool. So yeah, this one might be cool too. So let's go ahead and join that one. Same kind of deal, right? You copy this, and then we go back, copy the link, and then this was 42K, I think it was. Same kind of deal, right? Just copy this, and then go on to the next one. Let's see if we can find a private one so you can see how the private ones work. So this One Golf looks solid. I kind of like the smaller ones, tend to be pretty decent, honestly. So sub 30,000 are usually really good. But you can kind of see here, right? So this is One Golf as a group to discuss golf and share interesting and informative content related to the game of golf. It's got all the posts, the number of total members, how long ago it was created. And then we can see here, right? This guy is the chief executive officer of One Golf. We've got this dude here. So obviously we're going to add this group, become a member. But this is basically who we reach back out to. We'd kind of come in here, maybe even add this dude as a friend over time. And then we could potentially message this guy if and when the time's right. But let's go ahead and join the group so you can see how the private groups work. And this one didn't ask any questions. Sometimes they will ask questions. And so... but these guys didn't, which is kind of cool. So that's One Golf. Let's just copy this group in here, and we're waiting on acceptance on that one. So let's go back. So we'll do one more private one. I Love Golf Suite. That's totally our customer archetype. You can see all of the members. Let's go ahead and just say I Love Golf. Let's add this one in. Copy this sucker in. Join group. And that one doesn't ask questions. Sometimes they'll ask questions. Oh, here we go. These ones are asking questions. Okay, follow the rules. I understand. I agree to the group rules. Simple, just add that and boom. So then if you come in here too, you can, once you've been accepted, you can actually see the discussion. So that's where you kind of, once you've been accepted into these groups, kind of get in there, see exactly how the conversations are like. Are there other kind of companies promoting it? Just start to get an idea what the vibe of this one is. Again, look at this: golf jokes and stories, golf rules. We've got tons of these things that kind of build up. So we could pretty easily, I think, get to 100 plus Facebook groups, if we spent a couple hours kind of digging around and kind of working on this thing. And then again, once we get accepted, you can come back here and it says Marco and 3 other members are admins, Jaden and 7 other members are moderators. So you can kind of just see here, this is probably the dude that started it because he's an admin. And then there's some other ones. So I would kind of reach out to this guy after I've been in the group for like a month or something like that. Maybe befriend him beforehand, and kind of build up a relationship, and then you reach out to them and see if they'd be interested in working with you. So it's really as simple as that. It's nothing too complicated, and it can be an incredibly powerful resource to cultivate your brand over time. So how I like to use these after I've been embedded, typically I like to try to do these pre-launch promotions. So within the launch module, this is something where you could send people to your pre-list for promotions, and maybe you give away 10 to members of the community and have like a link there, and then you cultivate them. Helps to build brand awareness too. And it really helps over time just to slowly but surely bake out your brand so you've got this audience that you can tap into and weaponize to induce success on Amazon. Some of the drawbacks are it does take time. So this isn't a flash in the pan strategy again, and this is relationships and people oriented. So you've got to be comfortable with it taking time, which is why most Amazon sellers don't do it, because they're lazy and don't want to put in the work. But it's not difficult to kind of put in, but it does take some time. The other drawback I would say is that it's not country specific oftentimes. That's why it's good to actually look at some of those niche local groups. So I may want to go to like California, LA, Florida, Orlando, like those places where I know people are golfing year round, and tap into those local groups because you know that they're US based if I'm selling in the US market. But if you do these on a broader scale, you kind of do have to qualify a lot of times that your offers are typically going to be oriented around the markets with which you serve. So there is a bit of a geo dilemma that can sometimes crop up with these. But that's it in a nutshell. I recommend that when you first are launching a brand, you spend a solid day doing this, cultivate 50 plus these Facebook groups and really get into them early. And then typically from a maintenance standpoint, we'll come in here on a monthly basis just to kind of update this over time, see if there's any new groups, maybe find some in niche kind of geographies and kind of cultivate those longer tail groups. And then we're going to come into this file here and just kind of look and say, hey, we've actually been a part of this thing for like 2 months and we haven't reached out to the moderators. Let's go ahead and reach out to them. And then you can kind of put down the name, the date, how you kind of arrange the conversation, and let it go from there. And then over time, your hit rate will kind of build and you'll have relationships with dozens of these Facebook groups, which can really be powerful when you're launching products and trying to build and cultivate success on Amazon. The other bonus about this too is in terms of review strategy, a lot of these folks, because you're embedded with the social trust of these communities, they'll oftentimes leave reviews for products after they purchase them as part of this. So it can also be good for reviews on the back end. So that's Facebook groups and working with them.